Good afternoon, Jan.
Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, it's been a busy week getting the Jinaga MCP working the way that I want it to.
Okay. So you still made updates to the MCP?
Yes, indeed. Yes, I've been using it for actual work, uh, and then as I run into to issues, then I'll say, "Oh, okay, hold please." Go over to my other machine and say, "All right, check the server logs. What's going on?" Um, yeah, and it's all the um, it's all the distributed systems deployment stuff. It always happens. So it's like, oh, okay, well this token, um, this one timed out. That identity server needed to be able to read that secret and just
Mm.
all sorts of stuff. Um, yeah, this the the MCP server process. Uh, shut down and restarted, and some of the information was stored in memory and not cached to the not stored to the Redis cache. So just all those little things.
So it's even for you, it's a bit of magic.
Oh yes, oh yes, yeah, um, yeah. What I'm hopeful
Mm.
for is that uh, I want to be able to separate the description of the business problem so far from the implementation that all of those implementation issues are solved. And then you can come at it with a different business problem, and you don't have to resolve those every time. It's like, oh,
Mm.
we're standing up a new server, so let's pull a database, let's pull a cache, let's pull, and then let's an identity provider, and let's all let's hook them all together, and it's like, well, we've done that before. Can I just have a set that's on the shelf, and
Mm.
then um, I just say, all right, I need to stand up a new application. There it is. Boom, it's pre-configured. All of the intelligent defaults are in place.
Mm.
Because really, why would you need to change a token cache timeout or um, a Redis configuration string on an application by application basis? That's yeah. There's nothing about the application that drives that decision. So you can make that decision ahead of time, and you don't have to change it every time you deploy an app.
Yeah, that could just be a default.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, because I started looking into it finally
mm-hmm,
yesterday afternoon a little bit, and then I had to go again, and then this morning a little bit
mm-hmm,
before I went through a number of our videos. Um, and I start seeing a little bit of the logic in the magic. Um, but it's still a little bit of
mm-hmm.
magic.
Yes, yeah.
First, yeah.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of magic going on under the covers. And yeah, magic is just technology that you don't yet understand. But yeah, if it just works and it's got a really good layer of abstraction, so that you don't need to understand it, but you understand. I mean, like programming languages, Python is such a beautiful abstraction over compute that the same Python program can run on lots of different machines, lots of different operating systems. So that's the level of abstraction that I want for a distributed system. Um,
Mm.
so so yeah, and so yeah, with this, and even higher layer of abstraction. So the layer of abstraction that the agent sees is that I've defined some facts and some specifications, and some pipelines and some actions, and then when I execute those actions and then I run this pipeline, I see the results. That's all that it needs to think about. Um, and
Most important question.
yeah.
My account was set to expire on the 17th.
Hmm.
Was the expiration was just for the redeeming of the code?
Correct. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. I need to
So
make that a
it,
bit more clear in the user interface. Yeah.
yeah. So it continues to work after today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
already a good thing. That's a good thing. Um, then in the example you gave last session, why you started from Code Launch because it was the IDE in Code Launch.
Mm-hmm.
and you wanted to make an application that attract user stories and
Yes.
activities. But didn't you start in a blank IDE?
Yeah. The reason was that I was trying to demonstrate that I could use a skill that was already um, in that project in order to load user stories from Azure DevOps. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, so that project has a skill and it has a personal access token that that actually had expired a few weeks ago, and I hadn't
Mm.
tried it out on this machine. Um, but um, but yeah, if I yeah, and so that's basically the same mechanism that I'm using at work in order to keep track of how close are we getting to our product release. So we're using Azure DevOps at my client, and so I've set up a skill, personal access token, shared that with my whole team, so everybody uh, can get to Azure DevOps just within Cursor and just ask about bugs. Hey, load this bug description in, and then go see if you can reproduce it by hitting Datadog, and then so yeah, it's all connected in Cursor. It's pretty awesome. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to show a little piece of that where I could pull from one system and then load it into Jinaga.
Okay. Um, because in the empty user story, you just copy and pasted
Yeah.
it in the agent. Um, and then in the application is sitting on the MCP server then.
Correct. Yes.
And so if you want to have the model and you want to have the specifications, you have to ask the content of the scratchpad.
Yeah. And yeah, that's actually one of the things that I discovered this past week about the Scratchpad. The intent is not to have to use the Scratchpad unless you're authoring. Um, so you should be able to ask it to load information from the application, and then it should have enough information to run the specification without loading it into the Scratchpad. Um, and yeah, over this past week, I found that it can sometimes do that, but sometimes it couldn't, and it went ahead and loaded that Scratchpad. um, but yeah, that's uh, the metaphor that I want the agent to have for the Scratchpad is that if it's writing a program, it's got to use Git in order to check out into a working folder and edit some code, and then it can try that code out. Um, it can compile it. Excuse me. Look for errors, and then if everything's good, then commit it. So the tools give it a little bit of the flavor of Git, and that's what the Scratchpad is intended to do.
Because the MCP server is only intended to be something to help you to develop the program.
No, yeah, that is the
Or
shift.
is
Yeah, it's intended to help you to develop the application, but not in TypeScript or in .NET. It's intended to help you develop the application in Factual right there the uh, on the MCP server. And then it's intended to run that application on your behalf.
okay.
So it's both the
But then,
authoring environment and the execution environment.
yeah, so that's very much for personal applications adapted to your personal needs.
Right, exactly.
But like in my case, I'm writing something for customers,
Hmm.
so I could use the MCP server to help me generate the model. Um,
Yeah,
then I should extract that from the
mhm.
MCP server.
Yeah, and it is effective in that respect. That's not what I'm targeting with this MCP server, but it actually does kind of work um, because it now has a place where it can just author raw factual. It doesn't have to translate it into .NET or into TypeScript, and then it can test that factual. it can load data into it and run the specifications. And then once it's got a clear picture of uh, of what the model should be, then it can now use its knowledge of Jinaga itself, of the Jinaga libraries, um, in order um, to write that TypeScript or that .NET. Now, the knowledge of the Jinaga library is not baked into the MCP, so um, yeah,
So there you need the Jinaga skill for that.
yeah. So you'd still want to grab the Jinaga skill off of um, off the repository. Um, yeah, I think I still did I create one for both .NET and TypeScript? I think we
I
created
think
the .NET
only,
one together.
yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, so yeah, you'll still want to load that skill into your development environment, um, so that now it can say, oh, here's the shape of the model. Here's Janaga that thinks in that way. Well, it might even make the connection because it's like it's called the Jinaga MCP. It's like, oh, well, that must be how you access these models. Um, it might get confused about not being able to access the actual facts. Like I can see the facts through the MCP, but then when I run the application, maybe it won't get confused by that because yeah, you're building an application and it knows about databases and that kind of thing. So um, yeah, it probably will be able to parse that disconnect between the
Mm.
two data stores.
Okay, but so actually the MCP server is made for people who want to create very fast Jinaga-based application for personal use.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, and that's why all these applications you have, for example, list application, describe application, um, all these, what do they call it, procedures or no,
Tools.
tools.
Hmm.
All these tools are inside, but to be used by the agent.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and so everybody who has an invitation code gets his own workspace
Hmm. Yep.
because
And you
in
can create applications within
yeah
that workspace. Yeah.
yeah because what I tried to do was just copy what you did last time
Hmm.
and get all the videos, but in my case it didn't give me any videos.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because in addition to your workspace is where you have your applications, and then the applications, each one is its own separate tenant on the replicator. So you basically have your own separate replicator.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't yet have a mechanism for connecting the replicators together. That that is coming in a later release. That way you can collaborate with these things. It'll be awesome. But yeah, you're in your own workspace, your own application. You've got your own set of facts.
But does that mean that that application, the historical modeling Jinaga app, does not go out to YouTube to get all the titles?
Correct.
It already has all the data in its model,
Yes.
and it's just a query.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. When
Okay.
I set up that application in, I believe it was in Cursor that I first did this. In fact, I can probably pull up uh, the chat that I used in Cursor in order to create the application. But yeah, I told it to go to this channel on YouTube and list all of the videos. And at first, it tried to do it through the web and said, no, YTDLB, DLP. So, oh, okay, that's much easier. Well, yeah, just do that. And yeah, all right, here's the list of videos. All right, created a Jinaga application to keep track of those things. And then boop, 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 set it up and loaded all the facts in.
Okay. And so now in the MCP server, it starts from that database, that Jinaga database.
Right. Yes.
It doesn't reload. Okay.
Yep.
So that explains why in my case there was
Yeah.
nothing coming back. Um, the invitation link in the code was actually on the screen visible for everybody.
Yeah, but it only works once. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Once you've
I was wondering,
mhm.
whether you received more requests than only me. Uh,
No, no, it yeah, that's one of the things that it tested. In fact, just added that same feature to Launch Kings. Um, but yeah, that's yeah, that invitation code can only be used once, which is a strange thing for a Jinaga application because there's nothing in the Jinaga model that says this can only be done once. It's
Yeah.
specifically designed not to allow that. Um,
Mm.
and so yeah, there's a a
Service
backend
running.
service that is looking for a certain
Yeah.
shape. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and actually that whole backend service kind of thing is also interesting. So I
Because
think I'll show that sometime too.
you explained that a little bit, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. Um, some some pieces about it, but
Hmm.
not the details. But then, how come? So it you have this list application tool.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't have, for example, the database of the Jinaga Hub, but I see a lot of applications in my workspace. So how
Hmm.
come these applications are common and the data not?
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah. Uh,
where did I see that? Let's see. Yeah, wait, I will just share that screen perhaps. I make that one. No, not that one. Not this one. That one. Yeah. Wait, because it's. Oh, come on, make that screen smaller. Because that's on the other computer which I take over the screen, but
uh-huh.
I don't know why it's with that tool called Hyperius, but apparently it doesn't want to make my screen smaller this time. Never mind, we
Hmm.
will do it this way. Try it this way. Which screen is it? Not, yeah, this one. Okay, it seems that, yeah,
Hmm.
it just takes, it should be readable, no?
Yes. Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Oh, he just takes a portion of it and not the whole. Okay,
Hmm.
even better. Um, so here, yeah, you see my cursor?
No, I don't actually, but I do see the rest of the screen. That's weird.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah, I see the effect of your cursor moving.
okay. So here you have 35 tools, 2 prompts, 9 resources.
Yeah.
Um, so if I go here, you have these list definitions.
Hmm.
Um, here you could just enable and disable the function.
Right. Yes.
Um, but then where was it that I? Wait, go back perhaps. Yeah, it was here.
Hmm.
Wait, it worked. Explored.
Yeah. So list applications would
Um,
have been one of the first things that
here,
it did. Yeah.
list applications.
Hmm. Yep.
But then
So.
where do I see the result of it?
Mm,
Somewhere I got a result.
yeah, the
Is
result
that
might not be visible. Yeah. So it then took one of those and turned around and said, "Hey, describe this application."
uh, no, somewhere I got
Hmm.
the complete list. Here. List all Jinaga applications. Yeah, that's the one. So we have here Jinaga
Hmm.
Cloud.application. That's the type. The title, Factual MCP onboarding. So that
Hmm.
looks like one
Oh.
application.
Okay. Okay. I know where
If
that
I
came
go
from.
further the E2 Smoke
Yeah,
app.
the smoke test. Oh, wow. Okay. Hmm.
Then you have another smoke app,
Wait a
and
minute.
another one, another one, um, another one. Again, the factual
Mm-hmm.
MCP onboarding.
There's historical
Um,
modeling channel. Now, this is the question I have. Is that the one that you created, or is that the one that I created? have you uh, have you discovered a uh,
I think I
a
think it's the
cross
one
bug?
that you created.
Yeah. Okay.
But so I'm wondering, where does that come from
Yeah.
if the workspaces are separate?
Yeah. Excellent question. Okay. So, yeah, this probably is a modeling error on the workspace application.
Here,
Um,
billing report bug tracker.
oh, yeah, that's definitely my application right there.
Yeah. So
Huh. Okay. Well, that's a significant
conference
problem.
um,
Hmm.
conference CPF
Yep.
CFP tracker.
Yep. Yep.
So
That's one of my newer ones. Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So the purpose is really that I don't see your application. So every login has its own applications.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Um, and so the Jinaga application, I should not have it in my workspace.
Um. The. duh, 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 duh.
Well, the,
I'm
the
not
one
sure
to
what you
list
mean
all
by
the
that.
videos.
Oh, list all the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Or is it?
So. Right, right. Okay, so I think what we're seeing here is that you can get access to my application, which is certainly not the intent. I'll fix that. But then once you're in there, um, you are a different user, and so um, you don't have access to the facts that I created because
Mhm.
the those facts are modeled in a way that they belong to the owner and nobody else. Um, and so I think you're actually running my application, but you're just not seeing my data.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is at
That.
least that, but yeah, you shouldn't be seeing the application in the first place.
Mm, okay. But so that means this instruction, load the historical modeling app in Jinaga and list the videos, should not work at all because
True.
the historical modeling app should not be available to me.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So I should start with create an historical modeling app
Hmm.
if I want to have it available.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And yeah, the method that I found works really well is to start the chat with pulling the data that you want to work with, and then once you've got uh, that that context seeded with that kind of information, then you say create the app, and now um, it's got something to base the app model on. Otherwise, it's instructed to ask you um, for some example or some real data. But if you do it in that order, it's already got it, so it can just work from there.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I
And
can show that with the CSV call for speakers, or call for papers, CFP, yeah, application.
mhm. And so the model I'm using on my side is not really important because all the work is done on the MCP server with the model that you use.
Um, okay, so the MCP server does not have any inference at all. It's a set of instructions and tools. All of the inference is done by your model. Um, I am optimizing it um, so that a sonnet level, a thinking model is necessary for creating an application, and a non-thinking model, like a haiku, is is all that it takes in order to run an application. And
Okay.
so yeah, once I get it optimized, you should actually even be able to use an offline model. Yeah, just something that's running on your machine in order to run a Jinaga application.
Okay, so it's actually locally that it's generating the model.
Um, yes, yes. Yeah, locally it's doing all of the inference to figure out this is the model that I want to create, and then it calls the tool, and then the tool stores that model on the Jinaga server. That way you can
Okay.
access that model. Anyway, well, I'm using the word model now to talk about the Jinaga model,
Yeah.
not the LLM. Um,
And then what is the best way for me to see that Jinaga model?
yeah, yeah. There you can just literally ask for it to show you the scratchpad.
Okay.
And in fact, if you want to ask it to write the scratchpad to a file, um, you just tell it write a file in this folder. Then it'll it'll just take all that factual and dump it into the file.
So like for example, here it loads the historical modeling app.
Mm-hmm.
So I could just say, show me the Jinaga model via the scratch pads.
Mm-hmm. And that's all it takes. Because there's a tool that does specifically that,
Mm.
and there it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and now it's
And
interpreting it
even
for you.
yeah.
Here's a diagram.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the portion of it that will help an application developer. It certainly helped me to debug, but
Mm.
uh, you know, the scratchpad is intended for the agent to be able to understand the model itself and author, but yeah, it'll show it to you. Um, but yeah, if you use the Jinaga MCP to build up an application that serves your needs, and then you say, you know what, I really want to turn this into a you know um, you know a .NET MAUI application, then yeah, start up your .NET MAUI application, load up Jinaga MCP, and say and load up your Jinaga.net skill. And then you can say, yeah, take a look at the scratchpad and rewrite that in C sharp. And then it'll just turn all those fact declarations into records and write some link queries for all those specifications.
Okay. So that might be very
Yep.
useful.
Yes, indeed.
What happens for the login? Um, so
Mm-hmm.
last time I logged in with my Google account.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that you would like to change that to another Google account. Is that possible? Or you have to?
It's in the model. So the reason that I've got that extra layer of workspace is that as a user, you can create workspaces, and the workspaces have you know the single use principle. Um, you know, that pattern where the actual owner of the workspace is some temporary user. Um, and then, so when you create the workspace, you are made the first administrator of that workspace.
Mhm.
Um, and so the model is set up that you can now invite other administrators. There's no user interface for it yet, um, but
Okay, so in fact you could have another invitation code which somebody redeems with another email address,
mhm.
and so he becomes an administrator in the same workspace.
Yes, yeah. So I would. That's exactly how I would set up
Mm.
the user interface for it. Is that as
Yeah.
um, as the first administrator of that, or any administrator of that workspace, then you could create an invitation code that you send either to your back to yourself and log in differently, or you send to somebody else, and now you can collaborate on the same application. Yeah, like we can do right here by accident.
No, I'm just asking because something I actually never realized. And by accident, I didn't use the wrong one. But this week I was using a different. I was accessing mail from an association
Mm-hmm.
via a Google account, and so I logged out of my Google account. I logged in with that other Google account,
Mm.
and then that one stayed active. And at a
Ah.
certain moment, I say, but Google is tracking the pages that you are visiting
Mm-hmm.
on with your web browser, for example.
Yeah.
And in my account, I disabled it. So I went looking, and indeed, so you have to be very
Mm.
careful with that,
Yeah.
um, because it depends on if it is your default Gmail account or not. And the default Gmail account is the one with which you log in first.
Mm-hmm.
So if you state log in with your own account and you open a second one, then it's not tracking your activities in the second account. If you if you log out from your own account, you log in with another account, that becomes your default
Mm.
account because it's the only one where you logged in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's tracking.
Yeah.
And so if you share that with everybody, then you have to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Yeah, I always try, and it's really easy to mess this up, but I always try to couple that with profiles in the browser. So I'll create a new profile, and then I'll log into a different Google account with that profile. Um, and yeah, so Google um, does does something to keep them separated, but still, it's very easy to go into one profile um, and access something that the other profile has access to, and start to get them cross-linked. So you still have to be careful.
That's okay. It was
But,
the Jinaga account was MCP account was logged to my
mm-hmm.
account, so not to the other one, luckily.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what else did I note? Yeah, the videos. Yeah, that that one was also a mystery in the beginning for me. Um, where was it? If I go in agent mode here, I go to where's my customize here? Um,
Yeah, I think it's under settings now. Yeah,
here, here.
customize right there.
You go to customize, you go to MCPs, then you click here. You see all of them are enabled.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, one of them, describe application, was disabled.
Oh, okay. That would
And I was wondering why. And the reason was very simple. If you go to settings and you go here to MCPs, then you have this one, you click
mm-hmm.
here. And then on
Yeah,
this list, you can just, for example, reset, you click,
yeah,
it's disabled now. So if you go back to the other one, you see it as disabled,
yeah, yeah,
but it's not really clear. Yeah,
yeah,
here,
yeah. That is.
disabled. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be that this was the only user interface,
Mm.
and and when I first saw this, I thought this was just informational. It's like, oh, okay, there's all the tools. Um, but yeah, this was when I was using the GitHub MCP server. It's like there's a lot of stuff it can do. I really only want to manage repositories. Just check things in and out, open issues, pull requests. So turn all the other stuff off. So had to figure out how to do that. And then once I did, I said, oh, okay, you know, let's let's get the list by looking at the GitHub website, and then I can turn off the ones that I don't want. That way, I'm
Mm.
not flooding my context with a bunch of tools. And then here I am flooding your context with a bunch of tools. That is another thing that I figured out over the past week that I'm going to address. It's going to now get down to, I think, 5 tools.
Okay. And the other tools are not relevant for the
Uh,
end user, or
no, it's that these tools work on a really fine grain. So, like, there's one that is to define a fact type. and then another one to define a specification. So that tool, um, it only works on fact types, and it only works on one at a time. So that's really fine grained, which means two things. One, you've got a lot of tools in order to be able to define the different types, but then two, that whenever you're using it, you have to, um, or when the agent is using it, it has to call that tool multiple times in order to set up the model. So I was using the application, and it says, okay, let me build that model for you. Bloom, 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 bloom. Call Jinaga 15 times. And say, oh, okay, it could be more efficient than that. And so, yeah, in agents, efficiency is extremely important for cost, for avoiding mistakes, um, for time. So yeah, just by so basically, I've replaced a lot of those tools with one tool that lets you write factual into your
Okay.
Scratchpad. And so you can write a whole bunch of fact types, you can write a whole bunch of specifications and a whole bunch of, so it can just
Mm.
author the whole thing, one tool call, and it sets it all up.
Okay. Um, yeah, I think that one we had. Yeah, all questions answered.
Excellent.
But
Yeah.
still a lot of things to discover. Uh, I just played with it a couple of hours. My
Mm-hmm.
intentions was different, but the result, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me show you a little bit of what I have been doing with it over the past week. So let me bring this on. So you don't want to completely cover it up because then our faces disappear. Um,
Yeah.
all right, transition. Okay, and so I think everybody can see everything. Um, all right, this.
Because I'm seeing the streaming details analytics,
Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay.
and that screen also, but very small. With our faces is very small.
Yeah, that was the wrong one. Share. Oh, I picked share application. So share entire screen, screen two. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
All right. So I started this conversation here, um, and this was all inside of Claude Chat. So this is
Mm.
not um, a programming IDE
Mm.
harness. So this is closer to the use case that I am um, that I'm going for. So first I started out with just a web search, Dallas area conferences that would be a good fit for factory-engineering.dev. So I want to get a few more local speaking engagements talking about that. So it did a search and check for call for papers. So it went out and checked for those CFPs. Um, every single one of these was already closed. In fact, a lot of these had already happened. So now that I've got just a little bit of information about what conferences look like, what CFPs look like, I told it to create a Jinaga app that keeps track of conferences and my CFP submissions. So then I said, okay, let's define the facts. So in here, it only had to define two fact types. I seem to remember that taking a lot more. But yeah, let's define a specification. Okay, yeah, here we're defining several different specifications. Um, and yeah, here's an interesting little error that it made. I let the error slide because I'm curious about how this is going to turn out downstream. But it said, no, I don't need to use the single use pattern. Everything is
Mm.
owned by the real user, which is something that I've explicitly given it instructions not to do. So this is going into the eval set, and I'm going to optimize uh, this so that it never makes that choice. Um, so it goes through a few more steps, and it's got a Jinaga app that is built and published. So you can see here's where it publishes the Scratchpad. So it's written a whole bunch of stuff. It's able to do a little bit of testing against the Scratchpad. It turns out not as much as I anticipated. So um, I'm still thinking about should I, press forward and make it entirely possible to run um, the full application just out of the Scratchpad, or do I back that off and let it just be an editing surface? Um, but I kind of like the let it run. Excuse me, on the Scratchpad. But so it publishes it, and that means that now it's published in the replicator. The replicator knows your distribution rules now, and your authorization rules. Um, and so and so then you can okay, so it's calling a view in order to see the results. So yeah, it's already captured a couple of conferences. Um, so earlier on, after it's published, it called this action um, in order to add a conference. So it's got that conference in there. So yeah, this is another part that collapsing the tools is going to optimize. It can only call one action at a time because call action is a tool. But if instead it could issue a set of commands, then it could say, I want to issue this call action command multiple times and just capture all of the information all in one tool call.
Yeah.
So that'll speed things up. It'll save tokens, and the agent will uh, self govern. So I have observed that um, if it's capable of doing the whole thing in one shot, it will. But if not, it'll break the problem down. So this gives it the opportunity to break it down, make multiple calls, or do it all in one shot.
It's automatically as efficient as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it still requires optimization, and so that's a huge part of what I'll be doing after I publish the new tool surface. Is I'll go back to my evals, and I'll really yeah, build those up so that it makes the right decision without having to reason through why it's the right decision. And so I'm basically pre-baking that decision making into the instructions. And then yeah, I'll run those evals and do an optimization in order to get it down to where it's really minimizing the token use in order to then, as you say, self-optimize. Figure out what's the best um, what's the best course of action and how much of that can I handle given my constraints. So it built the app, and now it's saying, excuse me, that yeah, it could do a CFP deadline, and so yeah, now it's talking about immutability, saying okay, well the deadline might change, so therefore I need to make this another fact. And I'm like, good on you, yes, that is entirely what you're supposed to do. So it defines a few more facts. It publishes a new version of the application, and then um, it it sets up the data. So yeah, yeah, publish a new release. Oh, I had to define. Oh, okay. Here's one of those cases where it was running into some trouble. I think um, the Redis cache was not properly set up, and it wasn't storing all of this information. So I had to yeah to try again and reload some stuff. Yeah, publish is failing. Okay, yeah, this was Yeah, 500s. Yeah, this is one of those times where I was like, oh, pause, go over here, um, see if we can fix. Yeah, the surface has been repaired. Okay, good. Let's retry. Um, so of course that part shouldn't be part of everybody else's experience. It should just be, let's search for some data. Let's create an application uh, to track that data, and then let's practice using the app. So let's put it into action. So list all open CSPs for which I have not submitted. Um, and so I said, oh, well, in order to do that, I need to define a new specification. So here's the specification that yeah, I can see right here where there does not exist a submission. So it figures out based on it figures out my intent, and then based on the resources in the MCP, it figures out what that intent is supposed to look like in Jinaga. So runs it, and it says, okay, here are the conferences to which you have not submitted. The status is that it's closed. This conference is already done. And this one's status is there was never a CFP to begin with. So it's like, okay, well that's you did what I asked. I haven't submitted to those, but that's still not entirely what I want. Um, I want to filter out, everything that all the CFPs that are closed. Um, and it actually did notice that that issue, and it started to go down this route of, let's just add a has open CFP fact, and it's like, no, that's not the Jinaga way. So this is another thing that that's going to go into the evals. Um, the Jinaga way is to model the process as facts and then use those facts in the process itself to figure out the state. You don't model the state in the facts. So none of this stuff. Um, and so so yeah, I'll create an eval that expects it to create an appropriate model in that case, and then optimize that the MCP by adding new information into the resources or even the tool descriptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go through that. It starts to track the CFPs as a separate thing from the conferences, and then I can submit to a CFP. Um, and now it's trying to create a specification. It said, no, you can't filter. Oh, okay. so, um, so yeah, try to tell it how to write a specification. Um, once it's optimized, then you won't have to tell it this. So that's the experience that other people will have. It's like, I'll do this, and then it says, oh, that's the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Here we're having some more 500s. Okay, and um, so here I'm helping myself out uh, for for later experiments and for those evals. So I told it to capture a memory. And so memories are just a thing that are built into Claude code, or not even Claude code, into, well, it is built into Claude code too, but into the Claude chat. Is that um, it can write a little markdown file, a little snippet of information about you, and so that information is available for it to fetch anytime you are logged in anywhere. So now it's got a little bit of information about Jinaga in this memory, and so I can retrieve that later and say, all right, let's examine that memory and turn that into some evals and um, make that into the Jinaga MCP so that other people have access to it. Yeah. So a few more. Yeah.
Michael, in the updates to the model, to the MCP server,
Mm-hmm.
do I get them automatically, or do I have to log out, log in again? or
Yeah.
even install again?
You get them automatically.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, all of the resources and the tools are all
Mm.
they're basically part of the running HTTP application on the server. And so when I update those things, then I rebuild, redeploy, and then the very next call that you make is going to get the new tools and the new resources. So there may be some pollution from old tools and old resources in a session. So yeah, once I make that big change and reduce it from 37 tools down to 5, um, this session is going to remember that there used to be 37 tools. Um, but yeah, the next call will kind of have that pollution in the context, but then the actual 5 will also be in the context, and that may cause a little bit of confusion. Um, so best is to start a new session when that happens, but it might even be able to recover. So um, so yeah, it kind of worked through um, the uh, yeah, the bugs, and I started using it in earnest and saying, okay, these are the sorts of things that I'm looking for. These are the conferences that my team has spoken at, um, and so I want you to find what they have done. Look for similar things. Um, I want you to expand the search. Look for other things in Texas, and and so basically, yeah, this is now what a what the general user would be doing with their AI. Is that it's like uh, it's producing the results that I asked for, but yeah, now I really need to refine what I asked for in order to get what I want. Um, and it eventually ends with me scheduling this. Da-da-da, where's the task? I saw it over here. Uh, wait, no, that's something different. Scheduled tasks. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have to figure out where that scheduled task went. But yeah, coming back here, if we go all the way to the bottom, yeah, uh, service is back. Um, yeah, somewhere in here, I asked it to schedule. Hmm. Wow, I'm not even seeing it in the chat. I have to figure out what happened there. But yeah, I asked it to set up a recurring uh, uh, schedule. So every Monday at about 3 in the morning, it'll run a prompt which instructs it to search um, yeah, for opportunities to speak, and here are all the parameters, um, and then load those opportunities into the Jinaga application. Um, and it's also instructed to add at least 3, and if it can't find 3, to expand its search parameters in a certain way. And so now that background schedule will do all of this work for me, and then I could just come to a brand new session, and I could say something like, let's see, oh, this is a co-work session. Let's make sure that yeah, that this is going to work. Oh, access the microphone. Use the Jinaga application, the CFP tracker, in order to list all of the opportunities that I have not yet submitted for. Jinaga. Yeah, that might be. Yeah, I might actually need to tell it what aliases to look for. Okay, yeah, so it's using Jinaga to list applications. It found the conference CFP tracker. And it's got open CFPs without submissions, so it's calling that view. And there are these 2 opportunities that I haven't submitted for yet. So, so now I want to say, let's reject the Atlanta opportunity. So that should create a fact that says that I'm not interested in submitting to that one. So yep, it calls an action, which it set up for specifically that purpose. Now it's calling the view again. And we should just get back 1. Why did I have to call an action a second time? Yeah, we'll have to inspect those. So yeah, this first one. Why did that disappear? Wow. All right, so here's the response. Yeah, it seems to be bouncing around a little bit to try to figure this one out. Okay, so call this action reject conference. And here is the, oh, it's just trying stuff out. Yeah, that's not going to work. So yeah, that's not the right way to call it. So it's trying. It says, oh, who am I? Yeah, the rejected is failing. Okay, so so yeah, these are the bugs that I'm working through right now. But if we come back up here and look at what it does, so it lists the applications, then describes the application. So it says that's the application I want the description for. The description comes back, and it is a list of all of the published fact types, specifications, the actions you can perform, some examples of what the agent should be looking for, and then what the intent is. And so it tells it, use when. So this is very similar to what we've seen with skills. So it can look at this information just from the description of the application and understand what actions and specifications it's supposed to call.
Okay.
So we've got that description, and then when we use it, it's calling actions, it's calling views. It never loaded the application into the Scratchpad. So that's what I want it to be able to accomplish, is to do real work without bringing in the authoring experience. And if I can get it to do that and be very token efficient, then this is going to be a really good tool for connecting different agents together. So I've got my background agent that is doing a search, and then it loads the application and knows exactly what actions to call to record the new information it found. And then I come to this one, and now I can take a look at it, and I can act upon it. And then maybe I'll set up another agent that once I've come here and I've said yes, go ahead and submit this talk to that conference. It says, oh, I know that this one uses Sessionize, and you've got that talk over here, so I'll call the Sessionize API and submit this talk just like you asked.
Okay. Then you could send the virtual Michael to that conference.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to that conference and speak on my behalf. Here's the script.
You could ask it to come up with a good script.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually now in the Yeah, I'm in the space where I am using AI um, to help me reason through kind of a script outline. But if I then say, okay, go from there, use my voice, use what you know about how I speak, and generate a script, it still gets, yeah, it's still terrible. I wouldn't read that stuff. Um, so uh, but I can write the script, and then like I did this with the last Pluralsight course. I said, okay, here is the script for this module. Fact check it for me. Look for inconsistencies.
Mm.
And yeah, so it comes back and gives me a report. It always finds stuff, and then yeah, I'll go through a few rounds and get it down to where the stuff that it finds is like, that doesn't matter. Um, and then I've got a nice, well-researched script. But I still have to write it myself.
Yeah. The easy things can be done already, but the difficult things not yet, I think.
Yeah, yeah. But whereas before I did that with a bunch of Markdown files in a code repository, and I used Git to record those. Now I can do that from my phone, and then go
Mm.
to a different machine and use that one, and not have to use developer tools in order to manage my data.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. That's another big step forwards. I
Yeah,
will be playing with it a little bit more this week. See whether I can get something out of it for Navis, to get
excellent.
the model up and running.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine walking up to it as if you were a metrologist. Is that the right word? Um, but and say, okay, uh, let's let's talk about this test that I just ran, and give it some information about it, or go research this machine and this process and this form,
mm,
and then say, okay, let's build an application that helps me keep track of this process. And now it's got all that information, and it starts to create some facts, and then see if you can use just that as a user, who would be a user of Novice, um, and um, yeah, and then once you've got a really good example, good worked example, then you can say, okay, I want to turn this into a Maui application. Here's the Jinaga skill. Let's see what we can do.
okay, gonna try that.
Yeah, yeah, because the yeah,
Mm,
we went through the process of modeling it together,
mm,
um, and we didn't have example data to put into that model. So there may be some things that some situations that we weren't thinking of um,
yeah.
that come to light while you're doing that.
No, the fact to start from an existing situation, existing data, is a good idea, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Before I
Because
gave it that instruction,
yeah,
it got just really excited. It's, oh, I got this modeling surface. I know what this application needs. And it's like, whoa, I don't need any of that. Um,
yeah,
and then it made a whole bunch of mistakes and put some mutable properties into a fact. And it's like, that could change. It's, oh, you're right. Let me refactor that. It's like, well, oh, wait. How about we just put some real data in and you build it slowly, one piece at a time? Okay, that sounds good.
yeah. Um, in the end, it will work.
Hmm. Yes, indeed.
Let's let's have a look for. I think the agenda for next week should be, yeah, no problem. So that's the 23rd.
Excellent. Yep, I will be there as well. And we
Okay.
should have a new tool surface by then. Um, and we might be ready to switch it over to app.janaka.com and turn on the private beta for more people.
Okay. Looking forward to that. Good. Michael, see you next week then.
Yep, I'll see you then.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.